I recently got married to my long-term fiancée. She and my mom have never really gotten along. I always hoped things would get better after the marriage. My mom invited us over for dinner, which was supposed to be our first meal as a married couple at her house. Now, my wife is a vegan. She was vegetarian but switched to vegan a few months ago. My mom knows she's a vegan. Despite that, my mom didn't prepare a single vegan dish for her, except a soggy-looking salad. Even the veggie soup, she added chicken broth to it to make it tastier. The rest was all non-vegan stuff like mac and cheese, fried chicken, jambalaya, and banana pudding for dessert, all things my wife can't eat. I told my mom we would leave before dinner since there was nothing for Olga, my wife, to eat. My mom said she could pick the shrimp from the jambalaya and eat the salad. I told her that's not how it works. Then she started insisting the veggie soup was fine. I pointed out that it wasn't vegan because of the chicken broth, which, according to my mom, was nonsense. She then asked Olga if she couldn't just eat normally for one day. My wife said no, but she didn't mind just having the salad. I knew she was just trying to save the day and was fed up with how my mom was treating her, so I thanked my mom and told her we were leaving. My mom freaked out. She blamed us for being disrespectful, saying she'd spent hours cooking all that food for me. I told her that's the issue, she should have thought about Olga too. My mom said I was exaggerating because it's not like she's allergic or anything. Am I the idiot for leaving before dinner because my mom didn't cook anything my wife could eat? Not the idiot, OP. Do not second-guess yourself. I see that you are now feeling bad because your mom spent hours cooking all the food, and I'm guessing it's because she made all that food for you. These do not weigh in your mom's favor or make you an idiot. They are the problem. Please see this. Don't fall directly into the trap your mom is setting. You saw it perfectly at the beginning. I told her that's the issue, she should have thought about Olga too. Exactly. Yes. Thank you for standing up for your wife. Thank you for saying that your mom is trying to divide you guys and create a wedge. Don't undo all that good husband work by backtracking now. The vegetable soup with chicken broth, that's the screaming siren here. What mom did was intentional and disrespectful, and it was a manipulative power play. I'd be willing to bet she wouldn't have disclosed the chicken broth if someone hadn't asked as some kind of gotcha for why OP's wife really can eat some animal products and nothing bad will happen. I cannot fathom my mother doing this. Still, if any version of this happened to me with any relative, I would absolutely tell them we will never be eating with them again. I'm also side-eyeing the salad. OP said it was soggy. Do we know for sure that whatever the dressing mom used was vegan? Tons of salad dressings use either eggs, mayo, or fish oil. It's not hard to leave out the chicken broth, but apparently it's easier to serve a buffet Olga can't eat. Mom called veganism nonsense, just proves this wasn't an accident. You did the right thing by standing by your wife, even if it means missing out on some banana pudding. The problem I see where OP says he hoped things would get better after the marriage. Why would he assume things would magically fix themselves? He's going to have to step up and actively bridge that divide. If he continues to approach the issue like he did here in this post, he's going to lose his relationship with his mother or create resentment in his wife. Also, I would say he's right about leaving, but it's always a good idea to provide your own dish if you have dietary restrictions like this. I would never expect anyone to make an entirely separate dish for me. Still, though, this seems like it was intentional by his mom, so I would say everyone's the idiot here. I'm a 32-year-old female and I've been married to my 34-year-old husband for 5 years. 3 years ago, I found out I was pregnant with our first child and we were both excited to welcome the baby. However, the pregnancy was really tough on me. I experienced extreme morning sickness and was constantly exhausted. Before my due date, I discussed with my husband that I wanted to stay at our home after giving birth. In my country, it's common for women to go to their family's home after delivery so their mothers can help them. But I didn't want to do that. I have a complicated relationship with my father, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable around my brother in such a vulnerable state. I love my family, but it didn't feel right to me. I felt that it was my husband's responsibility as a father to take care of his baby and me, not my brother's. He agreed, and we started preparing our house for the baby, myself, and guests. We even asked my mother to come stay with us after I gave birth, and she agreed. His mother also offered to help, since neither of our mothers was very young. However, after I gave birth, my husband drove me to my family's house and told me he thought it would be better for me to stay close to my mom and sister, as they could take better care of me than he could. So we stayed at my parents' house for a month and he only visited us 3 times. I felt so humiliated. I was constantly dealing with leaky breasts and stitches, so I had to stay in my old bedroom, which I shared with my sister. The baby was always crying, and I was new to motherhood. My family tried to help, but I've always been shy. All I wanted was to go back to my house and have my husband by my side. I later discovered he'd gone to Dubai with the boys. Fast forward to 1 month ago, my husband became ill for 2 days and his pain worsened, so I drove him to the hospital. It turned out that his appendix was inflamed and he had to undergo an appendectomy. After the procedure, he spent 2 days in the hospital and I stayed by his side the entire time. But when it was time to leave, I drove him to his parents' house instead of taking him home and told him that his mother would take better care of him than I could. Then I took our child and travelled to another city where my family spends the summer. When I told my family what I'd done, they were disappointed, saying, "That's not how we raised you, to abandon your husband when he needed you the most." My in-laws were angry, but my sister said I should have also left the child with him. After a week, I returned to our house, and my husband came back 2 weeks after his surgery. However, he refuses to speak to me and has been sleeping in the living room ever since. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What was he expecting? You gave him a taste of what he gave you. Nothing. His behavior was worse because there were different plans. The opinions of other family members are irrelevant. You matched energy. Was it petty? Yeah. Did he deserve it? Yes. Play stupid games and win stupid prizes. You should divorce this man. You assume they're from a part of the world where divorce is an option for her. In some countries, women can't request a divorce, and if they do divorce, they lose their kids. There are countries where women can't live on their own, meaning she would need to move back in with her parents. These are also the types of countries where the above happens, aka being sent home after pregnancy. OP, you established a beautiful thing. Expectations of equality and reciprocity in your marriage. The argument that what he did was cultural and what you did isn't is irrelevant. Actually, I applaud you. Let him sleep on the couch. Actually, make him another room and start separating clothes and food. If he doesn't want to be a husband, he shouldn't be getting husband privileges. You already have a child to deal with. You don't need another. Here's the deal. My sister, 32 female, is getting married soon, and I, 28 female, was supposed to be a bridesmaid. Everything was cool, dress picked out, blah blah blah. But then she tells me I have to sit at the singles table at the reception. Like, excuse me? I'm the only one in the bridal party who's not married, so I guess that means I get the reject table with my weird cousin Greg and some randoms she invited out of pity. I asked if I could sit with the rest of the bridal party because, duh, I'm in the bridal party, and she literally goes, "But you'll ruin the aesthetic." The aesthetic? Girl, what? I'm not even single. I've been dating my boyfriend for about 6 months, but she said he's not serious enough to get a +1. Okay, fine, but now I got to sit alone like some desperate loser. So I told her if I'm being treated like a second-class guest, I'm just not coming. She freaked out and said I was being dramatic and ruining her big day. My mom's angry at me too, saying I should just suck it up for one day and it's not a big deal. But like, I don't know, it kind of is to me. Why am I good enough to be a bridesmaid but not good enough to sit with my friends? I don't want to be sitting with cousin Greg while everyone else is having fun. Now everyone's angry and I'm questioning if I'm being a brat. Am I the idiot for not going to my sister's wedding because of a chair? Not the idiot. Go to the wedding and when people ask you why you're not sitting with the rest of the bridesmaids, tell them the exact reason she told you. Honestly, it would look even more weird if one bridesmaid was sitting away from the others on a guest table. Malicious compliance. God love it. But to cover yourself, tell Mom that if anyone asks why you're not sitting with the bridal party, you are telling the full truth. Side note, it sounds like your sister is a bit of a bridezilla. Weddings always seem to bring out the crazy in people. Yeah, this kind of seems like a lose-lose for OP. She's being dramatic if she doesn't go, but I guarantee her sister will be angry when one of the main topics at the wedding is why she isn't sitting with the bridal party. And of course to her, OP will be the reason that's the topic, not the fact that it was her own foolish choice. Hun, your sister's new idiot aesthetic stinks, but your mother is also a problem. You're not overreacting. That is some pretty serious nonsense and I would be just as offended as you. I, 27 female, just broke up with my boyfriend Luke, 30 male, after almost 2 years together. And now I'm starting to wonder if I'm the idiot here. Things were fine at first. He's smart, funny, and has a decent job. On paper, he's the whole package, but over time I started noticing this pattern where he'd completely dismiss my feelings. Like, I'd tell him something upset me, and he'd hit me with a, "Why are you being so dramatic?" or "You're reading too much into it." He just didn't seem to care how I felt about anything. I let it slide for a while, telling myself he's just not in tune with emotions or whatever, but things started to feel off. The real red flags started popping up when it came to anything involving women. We were at a friend's dinner party a few weeks ago, and one of the women there was talking about how hard it was for her to get ahead in her male-dominated job. Without missing a beat, Luke goes, "Maybe if women stopped playing the victim and worked harder, they'd get promoted." He said it like it was a fact, with zero care about how she felt. I was mortified. After the party, I asked him why he said that, and he just shrugged, like it was no big deal, and said, "I'm not going to sugarcoat things just because she's a woman. If she was good enough, she'd get promoted." It wasn't just that comment, though. He constantly downplayed women's experience. If I ever tried to bring up a point, he'd brush it off like I'd been brainwashed by feminist propaganda. His attitude toward women in general just stank. But the worst part was how he acted like I was the problem for even mentioning it. Things really hit the fan last week. I brought up how we could improve our communication, because, let's be honest, it was lacking, and maybe even consider couples therapy down the line to ensure we were on the same page. He laughed and said, "Therapy? That's for weak people who can't handle their own issues." When I told him I needed him to be more emotionally available, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Why do you need me to be all emotional? I'm not a woman. You deal with your own feelings." I was stunned. Like, did he really just say that? I realized right then that I couldn't keep doing this. I broke up with him that night. He was totally shocked and called me overly sensitive and said I was throwing away a great relationship over nothing. Some of my friends are saying I might have been too harsh and should have given him more of a chance to change, while others think I did the right thing. So I'm wondering, am I the idiot for breaking up with him over this? Alright, let's break this down. So your ex-boyfriend thinks emotional intelligence is for the weak, dismisses anything related to misogyny as feminist propaganda, and thinks women just need to work harder to succeed. Yet somehow you're the one being overly sensitive? That's some Olympic-level mental gymnastics right there. Honestly, sounds like you dodged a bullet, and maybe even the whole arsenal. If he thinks a great relationship means invalidating your feelings and ignoring basic respect, well, let him have that with someone else who won't mind that their boyfriend missed the empathy memo entirely. The bottom line is that you are definitely not the idiot here. You gave him more chances than he even deserves, and leaving was probably the best self-care move you've made all year. I completely agree. It's astonishing how he twisted things to make you seem overly sensitive when he lacked empathy and respect. He will now start dating nearly adults because grown-up women will see him as the misogynistic piece of work he is. Good on you for doing what's best for you, and you dodged a bullet. My dad and his wife bought a new house together and we moved in last week. Before moving, I, a teen, was told I could get my own room or share with one of my stepbrothers, Todd, tween, and Ed, a pre-tween. Even though I was offered the choice, my dad and his wife wanted me to share with one of the boys. The reason for that is both stepbrothers think of me as a brother, not a step, and because they both admire me and look up to me. Ed hero worships me, is super clingy, and always wants to hang out and be my friend and brother. It's a lot, really. I don't like it. Sometimes I like getting out of the house just not to have my shadow with me everywhere I go. Most people would find it sweet, but I find it exhausting. When we lived in the other house, he always wanted to sleep in my room for sleepovers and stuff, and was disappointed when I'd say no. The pre-tween has autism and he looks up to me too, but in a different way. I'm one of the only people he's ever wanted to spend time with. I'm one of the only people he's comfortable around too. He doesn't sleep great but will nap if I'm in the room, so they thought I'd be good for him in that way. They think I'd be good for both, but they don't have the closest of relationships, and Ed can make Todd edgy, so their sharing is not a great solution. I never wanted to share with either of them, and since we all live together 100% of the time with no other parents to go to, I knew having my own room was a big deal for me, so I chose my own room. My dad and his wife are really unhappy about it. They gave me the choice though, for reasons, so they're willing to follow through, but they're also going to make sure I know how disappointed and unhappy it makes them. We became a step family 2 years ago, by the way. The privacy stuff won't help me much. Really, the house should have been 4 bedrooms like before. So, am I the idiot? Most people would find it sweet, but I find it exhausting. The people who find it sweet are 25 or older and not having it happen to them, like me. Your reaction is pretty gentle compared to what I would expect from a teen boy. It's okay to want your own space. It's not an insult to anyone. However, I'm sorry to put it bluntly, your parents are idiots. Never downsize the number of bedrooms when the number of occupants isn't also reducing. They mean they moved from a 4-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. Why in the heck did they do that? The audacity to try to make you feel guilty when they specifically chose to put you all in this situation is baffling. Young man, you're handling this very maturely, and I commend you. They moved from a 4-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. Why in the heck did they do that? Translation, they expect OP out of the house in 3 years, the moment he turns nearly adult. Then each kid will have his own bedroom. Meanwhile, they expected them to also have a bedroom each, and only OP would be staying with one of them. Your parents are being extremely selfish.